Yep.
Hey friends, Stefan here with the Driven One Shop on Monday night. We're hanging out working on this 2006 Honda Odyssey. This van was donated to Driven One, and when we got it, it had a completely dead battery, didn't start, didn't stay running, and just basically had a lot of problems. This van has 293,000 miles, and prior to us starting the recording episodes, we replaced the alternator on it. We did an engine flush to clean out the engine and a few other things just to maintain it, and we've been driving it around now for a couple of weeks with actually really good results. One of the issues we've had though is the ride has been tremendously bouncy and a lot of shake. So there's two main things we're working on tonight. Number one is shock absorbers, and if you take a look here, these are the old ones, and you say, well, how can I tell if a shock absorber's gone bad? Well, if you look at all the oil, you know, when the shock absorber goes up and down, if there's essentially no resistance to it going up and down, and you see the oil coming out of it. So we've already replaced the two rear shocks on this Honda, so we're excited about that. It's pretty easy, basically 2 bolts on the top, 1 on the bottom, and that was done. And then our next step here is working on the tie rods. And what I wanted to show you here is I've got one of the old tie rods out in a vise, and this may be hard to see on the video, maybe not, but what I want you to look at is I'm going to move this. You can hear that clunking. So I'm moving it in and out. The tie rod is what connects to the tire and steers the vehicle. So if this has play in it, as the car's going down the road, the tire can wobble with this tie rod. So that's the old one. Over here we've got the new tie rod. We've actually got a whole front end kit here, but we've got the new tie rod with the castle nut here, some sway bar links and ball joints and other parts. So we bought a whole kit because it was pretty affordable, and we're gonna start with the parts that we need, and then we're gonna get the vehicle aligned, see how it goes down the road. So stay tuned and watch us get the new tie rods in. So to remove the tie rod, what we've got to do is get our 19mm wrench and go on in here. You've got the inner tie rod, and then this is the outer tie rod. There's a nut right here, and I've already gone ahead and loosened this. You get that on there, and you can see that loosens. And what that does is this is what's called a jam nut. You jam it up against the tie rod, and it keeps this from spinning as you're going down the road, and it's what keeps the alignment. Now, the second spot you want to get on the tie rod is down below here. There is a castle nut that I've already loosened, and this is, once this comes off, then the tie rod can come out, but it's not just gonna pop out. We need to wedge underneath here, either with a hammer underneath, or get a wedge in here, like a tie rod separator, and that's how we're gonna open that up. So what I'm gonna do is show you guys, I've got a air hammer that has the separator. So this is like a pickle fork that can go in there, and it can go in between the tie rod and the vehicle. And one of the things I'd like to do is get hearing protection. So give me just 1 second here while I grab that. This is okay, you ready? Now that may or may not pop it all the way out. That's why I've got my hammer here, and we can sometimes it's a little harder. There you go. She's out. So now that the tie rod is out of the steering knuckle, you can basically just go ahead and unthread all the way. What you want to do is leave that jam nut where it is. So as you put the new tie rod on, you can get it in about the same location as the old one came off, so the alignment will be close enough that you can drive on down to the alignment shop and get that done. So here you can see the boot. I probably tore that, but if you look on the inside of this, you can see there's hardly any grease at all in there. And these tie rods don't have a spot to put grease in. So once they wear out, they're just done. If you take a look at the new tie rod, which I've got right here, first thing I want to do is point out that they're the same height. And then the new one, you can see, is a much beefier head here. We're gonna go ahead and there's a spot to put a grease zerk in here. So I'm gonna just put that in the vise loosely. And we're gonna get the grease zerk in. So that's this little guy right here. So this guy threads in. So I'm gonna grab a wrench and tighten that up. And then we have the cotter pin. Once we get this installed, that cotter pin is going to live. This is what's called a castle nut. And when that goes up high enough, you can see the cotter pin can go through and it keeps that nut from loosening accidentally. So we'll take a look at that once we get this installed. All right, so the new tie rod, I've put some grease in. We've got the grease zerk put in tightly. And now I'm gonna go ahead and just thread this on. First thing I'm actually gonna do is check this, and I'm gonna try pulling it and see if there's any looseness in there, which I don't really feel. So we're gonna go ahead and thread this guy on. Slowly and surely, there we go. And then this is going to slide down into the hole here. So this part slides right down here. Slide that guy in. And then we take the castle nut and we put that on the bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and get the wrench and tighten that up a little bit. Oh, where'd you guys put my 18?
Joking.
Got that good and snug, and then we're going to go ahead and put that cotter pin in to keep that nut in, and then we'll tighten up that jam nut. So we put it in and just bend those around, and that'll keep that nut from ever coming all the way off. And then with the jam nut, we're going to go ahead and tighten this guy back down. So that's snug. Next stop, alignment shop.